What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I'm going to be breaking down what's happening with the market. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15. And the offer ends very soon in just 4 days. Anyways, as far as the market's going, guys, I want to tell you guys that I am a little concerned about how this setup is panning out. Just know there wasn't really any significant news that came out, but the market is moving based off algorithms and manipulation. Now, today is Friday. Despite the fact that the option chain is very balanced, we are still looking very weak on SPY. And I just want to say that if you look at the 4-hour time frame, instead of us trying to fully fill this imbalance and push even higher, we got a rejection making a lower high. So we had the all-time highs up here. SPY came down after FOMC, got a nice rebound attempt after PCE data came out. And then, since we've been pushing for the last couple of days approaching Christmas, instead of continuing the push, we got this big rejection. So now this looks like a left shoulder on SPY. This could be our head, and then this could be our right shoulder right up here. So we're looking at support at 591.89. If that does not hold, we're looking for essentially 590. Then I would say we could be dipping closer to 588 if that fails us or below. So it's still looking very, very weak. And if SPY continues to fall, the head and shoulders setup does look quite bearish. This could lead to a lot more downside. We need SPY to recover above 598 at the very least to have any chance of getting another bull run. Otherwise, this is going to be favoring more downside, and I think this is looking weaker. The main support now is at 591.89. If we don't hold that, expect more downside, so just be very careful, and the head and shoulders setup still remains. For ES, we have the same thing. We've rejected. We're barely holding 6,000. Also, there's this left shoulder, excuse me, a left shoulder here, a head up here. And then there's a right shoulder over here. So we're going to be watching to see if 6,000 holds. If it doesn't, we're looking for 59.50 as our potential targets. If we reclaim 60.60, we're going to have to turn back up. But this is favoring that's going to lose 6,000, start dipping towards 59.75, very close to here, then eventually 59.50 or below. So it looks a little bit weaker to me. For Nvda, we're making lower highs and lower lows. We were trying to rebound. There was a chance it was attempting to form an inverse head and shoulders. But now I'm very concerned about this because we're barely at the 135 area. We're below our 200 EMA at 136.5. If that fails us, we could be looking for a bigger dip all the way down towards the 133 area. We got to reclaim 137.5. Otherwise, this favors downside. So just be careful, guys, and there's that risk of downside. For Bitcoin, we're looking weaker. We need to try to reclaim 97,000. Otherwise, I'm favoring that this could be dipping closer to about 94,000 flats, and eventually 92,800. So just be careful. For Tesla, unfortunately, with the whole market coming down, the algorithms are affecting it as well. We had this high up here at 484. We came down at a lower high. Now our support's at 432 with resistance at 440 and then 446. So watch 432. We got to hold that on Tesla. If we don't, we're looking for the low of the day to be retested in 425. If that fails us, we're looking for 420 and 415 as our supports. If 415 fails us, Tesla turns a lot more bearish. So just be careful. For now, there's like a double top. We had the possible cup and handle like setup, but I'm not as confident about it now looking at how we're dipping. We'll see about that. It's going to depend a lot on deliveries. Unless we end up losing like 415, then it's not going to pan out. So we'll see, guys. If we can hold 432 on Tesla, it's barely holding support, but it does look a little weak to me. So I want to just say the setup is risky, and there is that risk. For NQ, we're looking for 21,500 as our support. If that fails us, we could be dipping closer to about the 21,350 area. So be careful. For QQQ, we're barely holding support right now. We're looking at essentially the 518 area. If that fails us, we're looking for 515. And if we get back above 520, there is some hope for us to get back up to 524, but we got to reclaim that to turn back up. It's still quite a distance away from that, so there's still that risk of downside for 518 and 515. For Aapl, we called out the rising wedge that was forming. We rejected off of that. We did not reclaim 260, so now we're looking for downside. We got to get back above 255, or else we do favor 253. This is previous 253.8 is previous resistance becoming support. If that fails us, we're looking for 252. For the IWM Russell 2000, we look more bearish. We've rejected off our resistance, and we're not holding support at 224. So got to reclaim 224. Otherwise, we're favoring 220 as our potential target. For Palantir is looking at 80 as resistance and 76.8 as our support. So it could be dipping to about 78 if that fails us. Then we're looking for 76.8. Looks a little bit weaker now. Despite that, there could still technically be a cup and handle. It's a possibility, but not a guarantee. So we'll see if we hold 76.79. It could be dipping closer to that. For the IWM, we have to hold above 222. Otherwise, because we're struggling to hold above, we're looking for 220 as our targets. If that fails us, we have 217.5 coming next. So look at 220, and we'll have to see if that holds. Coin is just shuffling right now. It did dip a bit to about 265. So look at 263 as our main support. If that fails us, we're looking for 260. Then we have resistance at 268. We could be dipping closer to the lower 260, so just be careful. Amazon has to reclaim 223 at the very least. Otherwise, it favors 220 or below. If 220 does not hold, it's going to be dipping more, so be careful. Meta looks a little bit weaker. We could be looking for a rejection. We need to be looking to see if 588 holds. We also have resistance at 602. This might retest 588. We'll have to see if that holds. If not, it could be dipping lower. So be careful with Meta. It's range bound, but there is that risk of downside. Microsoft has lost 431, not a good sign. We need to reclaim that. Otherwise, this is going to be favoring a test of previous resistance becoming support at 427. And if that fails us, we're looking for 425. Google, it's a little bit weaker. We have the possible head and shoulders, which is what I was talking about in my earlier videos. The left shoulder here, a head and then the right shoulder. Look at 192 as our main support. If that does not hold, we could be looking for 190 then 188. So be careful. There is that risk of downside. So what's my view of the markets? The answer is we look weak. Unfortunately, the market's got this big rejection. SPY is still holding its 200 EMA. It has not lost critical support yet, but the head and shoulders remains. This is now shifted into this after getting this rejection forming the right shoulder. So unfortunately, the market has not held supports, and we are starting to see the risk of downside. We'll see how well we hold up at these levels, but just know there is a risk of more downside. So be patient, guys. And I'll see you guys very soon on my next video. One last thing I want to say is that the VIX is in a very, very critical place. So I hope that you guys are paying attention to this. We're up 20% so far. It's looking bullish on the PPO. So typically when this happens, it does push a lot more to get back up to 20. So there could be a breakout coming to the VIX, which could suggest more downside. So the market has flipped. What's interesting is we didn't really have a major catalyst, right? The market's just selling off based off its algorithms and possibly because of cyclicals. So it is what it is. Sometimes the market could do this. They try to like screw as many people over as possible. They give us these fake pumps, fake dumps. But in this case, I do want to give you guys the warning of the risks because SPY once again has that giant possible head and shoulders. So does SPX and ES. So you want to be very careful looking at the way this market is developing, and this is going to have a big effect on a lot of different stocks out there. Thank you for listening. Have a good rest of your day, and peace out.